Hi, welcome to Brady's Blunders, where I show you the mistakes in my games, hoping you don't make the same ones in yours. Sorry I haven't been making very many videos lately. It's been the holidays, and we've had a constant stream of guests coming through the house. But they're finally all gone, so I'm back. Okay, first order of business. Did y'all see the amazing M. Lily final Game 5 between Kujier and Elise Sedal? It was fantastic. Great job by Andrew Jackson, Myungwon Kim, and the AGA on the broadcast, and everyone else who helped. I really encourage you to watch. It's 3 hours, but awesome. I'll link to it down below. Anyway, on to the game. All right, I selected this game for a few reasons. One of which is it's kind of a funny story because this game actually got me to 9 dan on KGS, and I say it's a funny story, but really me, 9 dan, that's more of a joke, right? And I also selected it because it's good for a few different videos because it's a good game. And then finally, I chose it, and most importantly, I chose it because several of the viewers have said, hey Brady, do something on invasions and reductions. And this game has a few examples of both, so it should be fun. All right, I'd started a new account, or a fresh account with this game, and I logged on first as a 1Q, and I won my game at that level, and then it bumped me up, and my next game was against the 2 or 3 dan. I don't remember which, but I won that game. And so this time I'm playing a 5 dan, and I am black. Actually, playing a 5 dan kind of relaxed me. I figured I'm going to lose anyway, so let's just have fun, and hopefully I'll learn something. And I think that relaxing actually helps. Okay. So for my third move, I played here, and then white played a 5-3. So one advantage of playing this move here is that it reduces the importance of the left side. And I'll show what I mean in just a minute. But because the left side is now not so interesting, I took his playing the 5-3 as an invitation to take the corner, which I did. And if you chose a normal follow-up, which I'll show, say we do something like this. And then he comes here, and I tanuki. He doesn't really have a good direction with which to move against the upper left. If he wants to try to grow the left side, he's actually just inviting me to grow the corner at the same time, and my benefit is just as good as his. On the other hand, if he approaches from this direction, the natural approach to a corner, it invites me to go ahead and reduce the left. So there's not really a natural way to approach this stone for white, and that's what I mean by this stone reduces the importance of the left side. I guess I was kind of hoping white would play that. Needless to say, he didn't, and he selected to Taisha. And, you know, they say Taisha's a variation with or it's a joseki with 1,000 variations, and of those 1,000 variations, I might know 5. So, what the heck? It looked fun anyway. So, rather than wimping out, I decided to go ahead and agree to play Taisha. And when white played here, this is where common sense should have prevailed. And there's a joseki that black can choose, in which he gains thickness and influence at the expense or price of giving white a pretty big corner. But it would be worth it in this case. With the board as it is, it works pretty well. So, and that would have been started by playing like this. Now, the requirement of it is that the ladder must be good for black. And this is the ladder I'm talking about. But the ladder is good for black, so this is perfectly playable. Assuming white continues on the left side, then when black picks up the stone, this is actually sente, because if white neglects to capture the stone, then black can play here and capture those 2 white stones. So white needs to play here and complete the capture of a pretty big corner. But black gets some nice thickness and influence as well as sente. and can go play somewhere else on the board. And this would be a pretty reasonable fast opening. And just as importantly, or maybe even more importantly, is it avoids some of the more complicated variations of the Taisha, which when you're playing someone who's stronger than you is probably a good idea. Needless to say, I didn't do this, and instead I accepted a complicated variation. And when I play here, of course, white automatically cuts and Ataris, and I extend it out, and white played here, and then I played here. White continued out this way, and then I played Atari, and helped my bottom side. White played here, and then I descended, and then white played here. And this is the game problem. So, if you're really strong, and you know the Taisha, and you don't want any clues, then go ahead and pause now and think about where you'd play. But for the rest of you, I'm going to give a clue. So just hold on a second while those strong people pause, and say hi to the cat, and then go away. So for the rest of you, I'm going to give the clue now. And the clue is that this move isn't Joseki. All right? Furthermore, I'll give another clue. I'll show you what the regular Joseki is. So normally white would play here, black plays here, and then white can double Han it. And this is pretty reasonable for white. When someone double Hanes like this against you, of course you want to go ahead and punish it, but it doesn't work in this case because white actually ends up capturing these 5 stones, thus getting a really big corner and outside access, and black is left with 2 puny groups, neither of which is strong yet. So this would be a complete disaster for black. So black can't play this way. And instead, black comes back to this side and helps this corner. So now, black can go ahead and play this. And white won't Atari here because he loses the race 2 liberties to 3. So white can't play that way. And instead, we'll just leave this as it is. And white now needs to help these stones and can do it this way. All right. So black has already gained, certainly over the variation that I'll show you that I played. And this is already okay for black because he's taken decent territory and eradicated white's potential on the bottom. If black is stubborn and wants to, black can play this way, but it can get quite complicated as white pushes through. And again, when you're playing someone stronger than you who probably knows the variations of this and you don't, this doesn't seem like a wise course of play. It might be playable, and Josekipedia has variations on it, but it looks quite complicated and white gets thickness and doesn't look terribly easy for black. So, what else can black do other than just help this stone, or these stones? Well, black can Tanuki. And in strengthening the upper left-hand corner, he indirectly strengthens this group over here. And at some point, white's going to have to eliminate the Aji from these stones, and might very well do it right away. But then black can go ahead and say, that's fine, you eat those stones, I don't mind, and take another big move elsewhere. And like the variation I showed earlier, this would be a reasonable fast opening for black. White is getting quite a bit of territory and a lot of thickness, but black is played first everywhere else on the board, and it's quite reasonable. This is the Joseki. There's your clue. So let's go back to here. Now that you know the Joseki, go ahead and think a bit on how you should answer this move. Right. First I'll show you how I played, which of course was wrong, although my first move was fine. So when I looked at the board here, I thought, well, my earlier move, I already played an extra stone here, and these 4 stones should be okay. These stones look weaker, so I decided to help what I perceived as the weaker group. And this was wrong because white was able to do that double hane that I showed earlier. And again, same variation, I can't go ahead and capture the double hane because white will capture the rest of the stones. So instead I came over here and then I played here, connecting the stone and threatening the cut. White protected, and then I descended, making life. White went ahead and descended as well, which was sente. And here I got this puny, awful life. This was bad for several reasons. I mean, I don't get the corner. I don't get very many points. If one of white's objectives is to build a wall facing this white stone, he got that. And white got sente. Oh, also I have a relatively weak group here. So when you take a relatively weak group for one player and sente for the other, it would be perfectly reasonable for white to go ahead and play like this and just start attacking and make profit right away. The game is already bad for black. All right, so that's what I played. What should I have played? Well, let's look at a couple of variations. It was bad for black when white haned. So what happens when black hanes here? And this is actually okay looking anyway. I mean, it's reducing the liberties on this white group, so it seems like it might be playable. But when white plays here, if black defends, white can take a couple forcing moves and go ahead and play through this variation, which I alluded to earlier, and it's going to be very difficult for black. So it doesn't really seem to work. So let's go back. It seems that this hane doesn't work. We know that helping this way doesn't work. I kind of like what happened when I took away a liberty on this, though. It seemed to make the white group uncomfortable. So can we play like this? White cannot double hane anymore. So this is a great benefit. If he tries it, then it's actually him that's going to get crushed. So playing here created a very important shortage of liberties. So instead of doing that, white is going to realize that the most important thing for him right now is liberties and move out something like this. Black will just move out this way and be perfectly happy with the result. It's way better than what I got in the game because I'm not confined. In the actual game, my stones were effectively eliminated from the game. They were fully surrounded, they were alive, but they're only making a few points. Once black gets this, again, the potential on the bottom is really badly damaged for white. And although I still have a weak group here, white's also got a weak group. And I should be able to protect my black group while attacking white. And this is a much better result than in the game. Okay, so I mentioned, that I was going to talk a little bit about joseki, and I just want to talk about how I learned joseki. And although I have a few joseki books, I very rarely pull them down from the shelf and say, today I'm going to study the Taisha or the large avalanche. And instead, the way I learned joseki is pain. And by that I mean, the way I learn joseki is I go ahead and make a mistake in an actual game, and my opponent shows me why it's wrong, and then I go ahead and pull down that joseki book or ask my teacher and try to figure out what was wrong and what I should have done. And it's the combination of the pain of having either lost a game or at least having a local loss that makes it memorable. Now I can remember the joseki because, I remember that time when this guy played the double hane, and that wasn't good for me, and now I know how to avoid it. So I don't know if that would work for you, but that's the way I study joseki, and it seems to work okay for me. Okay, that's it for this video, and I'll continue the next one with an invasion and reduction problem. I hope you liked it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.